السلام عليكم أهلا وسهلا ومرحبا بكم أسعد الله أوقاتكم الوحدة الثالثة السكن the accommodation الفعل المضارع present tense. As you know that we have started our course with the present tense, or in fact the course starts with the present tense, and we have already learned that for the third person singular we say يذهب, and when we use with the pronoun you will say huwa yadhhabu. So he goes, it will start with ya, and when you want to say she goes, then we will say hiya tadhhabu. And remember, even if we don't use hiya, still it's fine. Tadhhabu means she goes. And in today's lesson we will learn about you go. If you want to say you go to the second person singular, you will say anta tadhhabu. So here it also starts with ta and ends with dhamma, and here tadhhabu also starts with ta and ends with dhamma. How would you differentiate? Of course, when you are talking to the person, so it depends who you are talking to. If you're talking to someone who is right in front of you, singular masculine, so you will say anta tadhhabu. And if you talk about the someone who is like the third person feminine, so that means hiya tadhhabu. So we know from the context, min as-siyaq, yani from the context, we will know whether we are using tadhhabu for the third person or we are using tadhhabu for the second person. And similarly, when you want to talk about yourself, first person, which is called al-mutakallim in Arabic, so you will say ana adhabu, and it is used for both masculine and feminine. So you want to say I go, so you will say ana adhabu. Now here you can see that we are gradually completing our conjugation, and whatever we are learning, we will just place it here, so we get a basically a clear idea of the mechanism of the Arabic verbs, like how they work. So huwa yadhhabu, hiya tadhhabu, anta tadhhabu, wa ana adhhabu. هيا بنا إلى الدرس. الحوار الأول, dialogue number one. انظر واستمع وأعد. Look, listen, and repeat. So the first thing that you have to see to do is that basically you see here, and then you listen to me, and then you repeat with me. أحمد السلام عليكم. حسان وعليكم السلام. أحمد أين تسكن؟ حسان أسكن في حي المطار. وأين تسكن أنت؟ أحمد أسكن في حي الجامعة. حسان هل تسكن في بيت؟ Now let's look at the translation and a bit of grammatical explanation as well. So the first part, Assalamu alaikum and wa alaikum assalam, these are the greetings. We have learned about it in detail. Now Ahmed says Aina taskunu. So now, as you can see here in the picture, there are two persons and both of them are masculine, and one person is asking the other person. So that means we are talking to the second person, mukhatab. So you will say Aina taskunu, where do you live? Aina taskunu. And Hassan says, Askunu fi Hayil Matar. He says, I live. So when you want to say I, so you can see that it starts with Hamza, and Hamza always carries a fatha on that. So it says, Askunu fi Hayil Matar. I live in the airport district. Wa aina taskunu anta. Now here, anta is basically used for emphasis, or just to make it sure, like you're talking to the second person. So when you say wa aina taskunu, it means and where do you live. However, if you say aina taskunu anta, then it becomes like emphatic, and it becomes like clearer that you're talking to the person who is right in front of you. So wa aina taskunu anta, and where do you live. Ahmed askunu fi hayil jamiati. So Ahmed says, I live in the university district. Askunu, I live. And Hassan says, Hal taskunu fi baytin? Do you live in a house? Now, why do we translate it as a house? Because baytin, whenever a noun, which is basically indefinite noun, whenever an indefinite noun carries fathatan or dammatan or kasratan, it is translated as a or an. So I live in a house. If it's fil bayti, then it means I live in the house. But when you say hal taskunu fi baytin, Do you live in a house? So في بيت, a house. أحمد نعم أسكن في بيت. وهل تسكن في بيت؟ حسان لا أسكن في شقة. أحمد ما رقم شقتك؟ حسان 5. وما رقم بيتك؟ أحمد 9, or you can say 9. Now again the same thing here. When you answer to a question you say نعم. So Ahmed says نعم أسكن في بيت. Yes, I live in a house. وهل تسكن في بيت? And do you live in a house? Wa means and hal is used to ask a question. تسكن في بيت. And do you live in a house? Hassan says لا أسكن في شقة. He says no, I live in an apartment. Again, في شقة, an apartment. But if he says في الشقة, that means the apartment. أحمد ما رقم شقتك? Now he says, what is your apartment number? And Hassan says, خمسة. وما رقم بيتك? And now he says, 5. And what is your house number? Ahmed says, تسعة. يعني that means 9. المفردات, the vocab. الأرض, the presentation. انظر واستمع وأعد. بيت, house. شقة, apartment. رقما, number. حي, district. يسكن, he lives. We have learned about it already. لا means no. Al-Matar means airport. If you drop alif, if you say al-Matar, that means rain. And when you say al-Matar, that means airport. And al-Jami'atu, university. تدريب شل بين الكلمة والصورة المناسبة. Now you have to connect between the word and the appropriate picture. بيت, and then we have حي. So this looks like a house, so you say بيت, so you connect between this and this. And then حي is basically the district, the place where many people live together. District is called حي. Then we have رقم. رقم is used for number, and شقة is used for the apartment. So here the apartment is here, so رقم will be here and شقة will be here. As you can see, the apartment number is here, and then the apartment itself is here. Then al-matar, the airport, and then la, that means no. Similarly, yaskunu, he lives. So as you can see in the picture, and al-jami'atu, the university, as you can see here in the picture. الحوار الثاني, dialogue 2. انظر واستمع وأعد. Now there is a dialogue between the tenant and the landlord. المستأجر, السلام عليكم. والمؤجر, وعليكم السلام. المستأجر, أريد شقة من فضلك. المؤجر, لدينا شقة جميلة. المستأجر, كم غرفة في شقتي؟ المؤجر, في الشقة 5 غرف. Now let's look at the translation. So the first one, as you can see here, the tenant, Assalamu alaikum, peace be upon you, and the landlord says, Wa alaikum assalam, and peace be upon you. Al-Mustajir says, Uridu shaqqatan min fadlik. I want an apartment, please. Min fadlik, please. Uridu, I want. The present tense can either start with fatha, or it can either start with dhamma. So it can be yuridu and it can be uridu. So it's not a problem. And inshallah, when you learn more in the future, you will come to know when we have to use fatha and when we have to use dhamma. Uridu is basically I want. So when you say I want, this is the subject and the verb. So after that, the object in Arabic is always mansub. Mansub means either it takes fatha or it takes fathatan. So whenever you use a verb, after that, make sure that the object is always with fatha or fathatan. أريد شقة من فضلك. I want an apartment, please. المؤجر, لدينا شقة جميلة. We have a beautiful apartment. لدينا, we have شقة جميلة, a beautiful apartment. Then Al-Mustajir says, كم غرفة في الشقة? How many rooms are there in the apartment? After come, please remember that the noun will be singular and it will be indefinite and it will carry fatha or fathatan, as you can see over here. And this information is also very important. Kam ghurfatan. Now, ghurfatan is a singular noun, but in Arabic it's singular, but in English it will be translated as how many rooms. So whether you are talking about one person or two persons or three persons or one room or two rooms or three rooms, you have to make sure that you use kam, and after kam you use a singular noun with two strikes on that, which is basically a fathatan. So kam ghurfatan, kam akhan, kam baytan, kam sayyaratan. So if you want to say how many brothers do you have, how many cars do you have, how many houses do you have, so you will say kam ghurfatan, kam baytan, and kam sayyaratan, and kam akhan. So Al-Mu'ajjir says, في الشقة خمس غرف. There are 5 rooms in the apartment. في الشقة, so as you can see here, the apartment. خمس غرف. The غرف is basically the plural of غرفة. So غرفة is واحد, and the plural is غرف. There are 5 rooms in the apartment. المستأجر في أي دور الشقة؟ المؤجر الشقة في الدور الخامس. المستأجر أريد مشاهدة الشقة. المؤجر تفضل ادخل، هذا باب الشقة. المستأجر هذه شقة جميلة. Now let's look at the translation. المستأجر, the tenant. في أي دور الشقة, on which floor is the apartment. المؤجر الشقة في الدور الخامس, the apartment is on the 5th floor. الدور الخامس, 5th floor. المستأجر أريد مشاهدة الشقة. Now the tenant says, I want to see the apartment. So now, as I said, أريد is the verb, and after that, the case ending, you have to make sure that the ending of the noun that follows it comes with either it comes with 1 strike or 2 strikes, and it is called fatha or fathatan. Al-Mu'ajjir says, تفضل, that means please, udkhul, come in, هذا باب الشقة, and this is the door of the apartment. Please come in. This is the door of the apartment. Al-Mustajir, هذه شقة جميلة. This is a beautiful apartment. We have learned about هذه, that we use it for singular feminine. When you are pointing towards something singular feminine, you say هذه, and then you say هذه شقة جميلة. This is a beautiful apartment. Here شقة is basically the noun, and جميلة is the adjective, the صفة that is being used for the noun. المفردات, the vocab. الأرض, انظر واستمع وأعد. Now we can see over here that we have the vocab دور, floor, جميلة, beautiful, غرف, rooms, the plural of غرفة. غرفة, 1 room, and غرف, rooms. تفضل, please. مشاهدة, to watch. أريد, I want. الدور الخامس, 5th floor. يدخل, he enters. And باب, a door. Then we have similar kind of exercise that we did in the first part. سل بين الكلمة والسورة المناسبة. Now you have to connect between the picture and the appropriate word. أريد, I want. So أريد here, I want. And then we have غرف, that means rooms. So غرف, the rooms over here. Then you said تفضل, come in, or please come in, or just please. And then جميل means beautiful, as you can see here. دور means floor, and then we have مشاهدة, that means to watch or to see. تم الدرس بعون الله تعالى. The lesson is finished, and inshallah when we meet again, we will continue with dialogue number 3, and we will complete the rest of the exercises. بارك الله فيكم، وسوف نلتقي إن شاء الله في الدرس القادم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.